7 points ahead, playing Mr. Dropstone.
You really played the Coco. No, Norris. You're gonna see that. Go ahead. Wow.
Can't believe I fell for that. I can't believe it.
Well, let's take a look at what actually happened in this game. David Paravian begins with e4, and Magnus replies c6. After d4 d5, we have the Ken defense. Black strikes at the center, white defends the pawn, and after the exchange on e4, black develops the knight and is ready to trade. White exchanges, and after recapturing on f6, black ends up with this pawn structure, which, in fact, is actually a very decent defensive setup for the black king once castling short. The game continues with bd3. David Paravian is already eyeing the h7 square. Magnus responds with bd6, but then comes qh5. And now, if black castles, there's simply mate on h7. And that's exactly what happens. Magnus had already pre-moved castling, so he didn't even see the queen move coming. After castling, David Paravian immediately delivers checkmate. The king has nowhere to run. But of course, we can't end the video here. Let's now look at one of the most beautiful checkmates Magnus Carlsen ever delivered, against none other than Tang, one of the strongest bullet players in the world. This game was played in the same tournament. And stick around until the end, because as a bonus, you'll get to see Magnus Carlsen singing. So, Magnus Carlsen has white. He opens with e4. Black replies e6. After d4 d5, we enter the French defense. White pushes e5, closing the center, aiming for kingside activity. Black plays nd7, white develops with nf3, and then comes c5, the standard French idea, challenging white's center. White reinforces with c3, and after n7 bd3 nc6, black builds pressure on the pawns. White castles, and now qb6 threatens to take on d4. If white exchanges, black would win a pawn, so, bc2 supports the d4 pawn. After b7 a3, white prepares b4. Black plays a6, and then b4. After cx d4, black strikes at b4, threatening to win. But Magnus boldly pushes b5, sacrificing the pawn for rapid development. Black captures, and after nc3, white develops with tempo, hitting the queen. The queen must retreat, and Magnus plays rb1, forcing the queen further back to d8. And here we see the point. Thanks to the pawn sacrifice, Magnus has activated two pieces with enormous activity, while black's queen has retreated all the way back. Now comes nb5, with the threat of jumping into d6. Black tries nb6, covering the square. After b3 nc4, the knight finds an excellent outpost. Magnus plays nd2, aiming to trade off this strong knight. After nexa3 bexa3, the exchanges leave white ready for action. qg4. White begins to attack on the kingside. The pawn on g7 is under fire, and castling short is impossible. If black castles, bxh6 comes in and the king will be doomed. So, black plays kf8, defending g7 but losing the right to castle. Now f4. Magnus keeps up the pressure. The idea is clear, push f5 and open the f-file, with the black king sitting miserably on f8. bb4 from black, trying to counterattack, but then f5. White pushes forward. But now Magnus threatens fxg7+, forking king and rook. Black has no choice but to play g6. White calmly brings the knight back into play, nf3. The knight is heading toward h4 and then g6. Black tries h5, chasing the queen but fatally weakening the g5 square. qf4 from Magnus keeps control. Black pushes a4, pretending to create counterplay on the queenside with the passed pawn, but nf5. Magnus takes advantage of the weakened g5 square, and now ideas like bxg6 or nex6 are starting to appear. Black must be extremely careful here. a3, not seeing the threats, black keeps pushing their pawn toward promotion. rb3 and after a2, ra1, white blocks the pawn, and the rook on b3 remains active, ready to join the attack along the third rank against the black king. b5, black is practically in zugzwang, just pushing pawns without a plan. bd3, attacking the pawn, and black is forced to defend it with RA5. But then QF2, Magnus begins to consume black's queenside. The pawn on A2 cannot be saved. After BD7, white takes on A2, and with QA8 black grabs the file, already threatening to recapture the pawn. White trades with Rook XA5, and after XA5, RB1, Carlsen calmly brings his rook back, while at the same time guarding the back rank against any queen checks. KG8, but black's pieces simply don't move. They have no active squares, no invasion points. H4, Magnus cements his knight on G5. KF8, and here Magnus suddenly sacrifices with BXG6+. After FXG6, black technically has an extra piece for a pawn, but their pieces remain completely paralyzed. The sacrifice opened the F6 square for white's queen. B7, black tries to control F6, but QF4, now the queen and bishop form a deadly battery. ND8, black brings the knight back to defend, but RF1, reinforcing the F7 pawn, and now every single white piece is participating in the attack. QC3, and in this position Magnus finds the knockout punch, NH7+. Sacrificing the knight. The only escape is KG7, but then comes QH6 #, checkmate in 1. So black is forced to take the knight, but then Magnus continues with another sacrifice, QXH6+. If black ignores it and plays RG7, covering, then mate follows in 2, QH8+, and after the only defense RG8, white takes on G8 and promotes a pawn, delivering a beautiful checkmate with 2 queens. So black captures the queen on H6, but Magnus has everything calculated. After BXH6 RXF8+, black is mated naturally. We can see here, black has 3 minor pieces and a queen, while white only has a rook, bishop, and 1 pawn in the attack. But none of black's pieces can defend their poor king. They've been completely suffocated, pressed to the wall. Magnus won this game brilliantly. And now, let's enjoy his victory song. Thanks for watching.
And
we go.
hopefully...
Yes. We go. Do 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 do